How's it going? Good evening. I wanted to get on and tell a story about my favorite guitar here. So this is an original Pacer Special, Kramer Pacer Special, out of the Neptune, New Jersey factory from the 80s. I was lucky enough to get this, I want to say in 1995. I bought this from a local mom and pop music store for I think about $350. Now these are going for well over $1,000 if you look for anything like this on a used market. Um, when I went to the music store, then I was already a Van Halen fan, at tender age of 15 when I was walking in there, and I knew what I wanted. I wanted a Floyd Rose guitar with a humbucking pickup. So far, the only guitar I had my hands on was my brother's Squire that he brought over from Europe when he came home from the Air Force. And I actually took that thing apart. I striped it, and I took two of the single oil pickups, glued them together, and put them in a bridge position so it resembled, the Frankenstrat. So that's what I was working with prior to buying this, my first real guitar. And I love this thing. It's great. It's got a lot of weight to it. It's got a nice heavy body. This is not original by any means. Originally, this came with a beak neck. So as you can see now, it has one of these pointy necks. So this came with a beak neck originally, which I believe was the original configuration for the guitar. That ended up with a headstock break coming home from a metal show one time, and this is probably 2002 or thereabouts. And I repaired that neck, and I continued to use it for a while, but I was worried about it and whatnot, so I was looking for necks, and I saw this thing on eBay, and I loved it because it says American right on there. So this is the closest thing I have to a USA guitar. All my other guitars are foreign made, but this did come from the Neptune factory. If we look here, here's the original serial number. So XL1033251. And I looked that up, and I couldn't find too much with the XL1 prefix. So I'm not exactly sure what that means. But I do feel that when I got this guitar, it was original because it had the beak neck. And this this pickup is one of those original Schallers. So back in the 80s, I think they switched to Floyd Rose at some point. Seymour Duncan at some point. But prior to that, they were using these, and they look like a Super Distortion, but it's a Schaller. It's a great pickup. It sounds good. I've always loved it. It's actually kind of been my favorite pickup of all time since then. So I love that. It's got a nice full tone. This guitar always had a lot of guts to it. And I love it for that reason. This neck is interesting. So if you look closely, whoever had this neck before me, he or she, I guess, attempted to scallop the top few frets. I know some guys were doing that. So you would see necks with, maybe the first 12 frets not scalloped, and then beyond that scalloped. So it looks like he did exactly that, maybe starting on 12 or 14 here. So he didn't go too deep. You can see it's really not too deep, but it does make a difference. So it's kind of cool to play that. It's the closest thing I have to any kind of scalloped guitar. And this bridge is not an original. So this used to have, a regular chrome Floyd Rose, and I ended up putting that original Floyd Rose on my Frankenstrat, on the one I painted. This is a brand new OFR I bought new from Germany. Oh my goodness, I want to say I put this on here sometime in the mid 2000s. I wanted to go with an all black theme, so I had chrome hardware before, but I blacked it out. I put the black Floyd Rose on there and these speed knobs, so I think it looks slick like that. Everything black on the body of the guitar, and then the painted headstock to match. So it's a great guitar. It sounds good. It feels good. The bar's it's an original Floyd Rose from probably 20 years ago, so it's quality. I believe there is a difference in quality between OFRs made, let's say 2 decades ago and today. I think the fine tuners are more poorly made on things coming from, more modern years. So the older you go on the Floyd Rose, I think the better it is. And in fact, the original that came on this one, the chrome one, the fine tuners were much better than these. So even that original from the 80s was much finer, finely machined than this one. These are okay. They're certainly not anything bad like a special or anything like that. But they're not as good as the original 80s ones. And that's something I've realized. So, you have the 80s ones are the best, and then I don't know at what point in time they started going to lesser quality, but that kind of continued over the course of time. I haven't bought a new Floyd Rose in probably since, I might have bought one more after this, but I don't know what they're like today. But, this one's solid anyway. The metal is good. The knife edges never went anywhere on me, so they're all good. It's just a great sounding guitar. Always loved it. So just a couple of other things about this. So this Floyd with this Kramer body, you can deck this, but I have the bridge raised up slightly so you can see this does have a little bit of pull action to it. So I can dive as far as I want to go, of course, and I can also raise the pitch a little bit like it is now. Typically I would have that decked, but right now I had this thing in standard D, so I had it tuned down. I wanted the action a little higher, so I had it set up, raised like that, and then I brought it back up, to E flat. But it plays great like it is. All the notes ring out with a slightly higher action. A lot of my guitars, I try and get the action as low as possible, right? But then if you do that, you can lose out on some sustain. So it's a balancing act. And this one right here, this is set up to sound good right now, not necessarily play lightning fast. I mean, you can basically shred on it. The harmonic response is really good on this, and as you can see, the artificial harmonic response is also good. The second guy I started following, really heavily after Eddie was Dimebag, so that worked out with this, because he did all kinds of stuff like that, and even more so. So again, it's my favorite thing. It's my most prized guitar. It's the first real one I ever got. And if you're ever in the wild and you see one of these things, maybe at a mom and pop shop, consider picking it up, because they're great guitars. They're getting harder and harder to find these days. There's websites and groups that are, dedicated to finding them and collecting them, kind of like everything else. But specifically with these ones, if it came out of that Neptune factory, it's probably a very solid guitar. That's why everyone was playing them back then. Kramer was the biggest name in the 80s, and they basically came up with this right here, for Eddie Van Halen, and the rest of the story now. Pretty much almost every guitar you buy starts out like this, and then you add pickups from there if you want a tremolo system these days. But the humbucking pickup and the tremolo, this is an original, where it all started, so I love it, for that reason and 100 others. But it's a great guitar. I hope you enjoyed taking a look at it, and it's my most precious one. So have a good night.